Have you ever wondered what could go wrong on a zipline? For some thrill seekers, one moment of fun turned into a nightmare. A snapped harness meant the fall of a lifetime. Here are 6 stories of zipline accidents that ended in tragedy. Flight of the Gibbon, Chiang Mai, Thailand. In April 2019, 25-year-old Canadian tourist Spencer Charles set out for what was meant to be an unforgettable experience in the jungles of Chiang Mai, Thailand. He had joined a guided tour with the popular Flight of the Gibbon company, known for its treetop courses weaving through the dense forest canopy. As Spencer soared above the forest, enjoying the thrill of the ride, disaster struck. The connection between his harness and the zip line cable failed mid-ride, sending him plunging 12 meters into a dry creek bed below. Emergency responders rushed to the scene, but tragically, Spencer was pronounced dead at the scene. Investigators later determined that the accident was caused by mechanical failure of the cable and harness system. Jungle surfing canopy tours. In October 2019, 50-year-old Dean Sanderson and his wife Shannon from South Australia joined a rainforest adventure at the Jungle Surfing Canopy Tours in the Daintree Rainforest, Queensland. The attraction was famous for offering couples the chance to glide side by side over one of the world's oldest tropical rainforests. But what was meant to be a joyful shared experience turned into heartbreak within seconds. While the couple was on a tandem zipline ride, their harness system suddenly disconnected from the cable, sending both plunging more than 16 meters to the ground below. Dean died at the scene, while Shannon sustained serious injuries and was rushed to the hospital. Following the tragedy, the zipline operator faced criminal charges over safety breaches, and the park was temporarily shut down. Monterrey, Mexico. It was a bright afternoon at Parque Fundidora, a popular adventure park in Monterrey, Mexico, where families flocked to enjoy a day of excitement. Among them was a 6-year-old boy visiting the park with his family. His parents watched proudly as he prepared for his first ever zipline ride, one that promised to give him the feeling of flying through the air. To ensure his safety, an adult guide was strapped in right behind him on the same line. Together, they were launched off the platform, gliding high above the park's artificial lake. For the first few seconds, everything seemed perfect. The instructor behind him kept a steady hand on the line, and the family below recorded the moment with joy. Then, suddenly, the unthinkable happened. About halfway across the ride, the zip line seemed to jerk abruptly, and within seconds, the boy's harness connection failed. People gasped as the child slipped out of his harness mid-air, his small body twisting as he plunged nearly 40 feet, around 12 meters, toward the lake below. The man behind him could only watch in horror, still attached to the cable, powerless to grab him as he fell. The boy hit the surface with force, but miraculously, he was still alive. Paramedics quickly arrived and rushed him to a nearby hospital. In the days that followed, video footage of the fall captured by other visitors spread rapidly online, showing the horrifying moment the harness gave way. The video sparked outrage across Mexico, and authorities launched an investigation into the park's safety practices. Officials from Nuevo Leon's Civil Protection Agency found that the attraction, operated by Amazonian Expedition at Parque Fundidora, had serious lapses in equipment maintenance and safety supervision. The harness was reportedly worn out and not properly secured, and there had been no double-check procedure before the ride began. The zip line was immediately shut down, and the operators were questioned for negligence. Bitto Valley Zipline. In May 2024, the serene beauty of northern Italy's Bitto Valley became the scene of a devastating accident. Ghislaine Mutahir, a 41-year-old woman, had set out to experience the thrill of the Bitto Valley Zipline, one of Italy's most thrilling attractions. Once she was secured into her harness and attached to the cable, Ghislaine launched from the platform, gliding smoothly into open air. The wind rushed past as she gained momentum, soaring above the landscape. But within moments, something began to go wrong. As the ride continued, her body started to shift downward within the harness. The movement became more pronounced as her speed increased. Before any corrective action could be taken, the harness could no longer support her weight, and in a split second, she slipped out, completely falling 60 feet to the rocky ground below. Emergency teams were called to the scene, but despite a rapid response, she did not survive the fall. Jebel Jais Zipline Helicopter Crash. At over 2.8 kilometers long, the Jebel Jais Zipline in Ras Al Khaimah was known as the world's longest zipline. Suspended thousands of feet above the rugged Hajar Mountains, it offered breathtaking views and an unmatched adrenaline rush. But on a quiet evening in December 2018, the mountain's silence was shattered by tragedy. A rescue helicopter had been dispatched to assist an injured zipline rider who suffered trauma during the descent. The crew of 4 emergency responders approached the site as dusk settled over the cliffs. As they maneuvered through the narrow valley to reach the injured person near the zipline, the helicopter's rotor blades struck one of the steel lines. In an instant, the aircraft lost stability, veering violently before crashing into the mountainside. The impact caused the helicopter to burst into flames. All 4 crew members on board died instantly. The incident sent shockwaves across the UAE and beyond, as rescue operations at the site came to a standstill. The zipline was immediately shut down as authorities conducted a full investigation. Karnataka Zipline Tragedy. What was meant to be a day of laughter and relaxation among colleagues turned into a tragedy. In May 2024, Ranjani N., a 36-year-old nurse from Adabelle, Bengaluru, joined 17 of her co-workers for a recreational outing at a popular resort in Harohalli Taluk, Ramanagara district. The group had spent the day enjoying various activities meant to relieve the stress of hospital life. Among them was a zipline, the resort's main attraction. When Ranjani stepped up to the platform, there was no sign of trouble. She was strapped into her harness, clipped onto the cable, and pushed off the glide across the field. For a few seconds, everything went as expected. The rush of air, the sound of the zipline whirring, her co-workers cheering her on. Then, in a terrifying instant, the harness connection gave way. The strap snapped at 30 feet above the ground, sending Ranjani plunging into the earth below. The impact was severe. Ranjani sustained severe injuries. Emergency responders arrived quickly and rushed her to a nearby hospital where she was declared dead on arrival by the doctors. Jungle Fight Chiang Mai Zipline. What began as a joyful adventure for a Chinese couple visiting Thailand turned to tragedy in the lush forest of Chiang Mai. Jin Chung and her husband Liu Yang had traveled to China for the holidays, eager to experience Thailand's famous zipline attraction. That morning, the skies were overcast. Days of continuous rainfall had drenched the fields, leaving the soil soft and heavy. Despite the weather, tours continued as usual. Jin Chung and Liu Yang, along with a group of fellow tourists, completed their zipline run through the treetops without incident. Laughter, camera flashes, and the exhilaration of the experience filled the air as they made their way back along a suspension bridge, suspended nearly 15 meters above the forest floor. Then, in a matter of seconds, everything changed. Without warning, an old 40-meter-tall tree nearby began to crack and sway. The soaked ground beneath its roots had weakened from days of rain. The massive truck gave way, and the tower came crashing down directly onto the suspension bridge. Jin Chung and Liu Yang were thrown from the walkway, falling about 15 meters to the ground below. Rescue workers and staff rushed to the scene, fighting against the thick foliage and mud to reach them. Despite immediate efforts to save her, Jun Chung died before reaching the hospital. Her husband survived but suffered multiple fractures in his arm and legs. Local authorities sealed off the area and launched an investigation. Early findings pointed to heavy rainfall. The tourist police confirmed it was a natural accident, not mechanical failure. Jungle Chiang Mai carried insurance for the guests, but no compensation could ease Jin Yang's grief after losing his wife on what was meant to be a joyful holiday. If you found this video eye-opening, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss thrilling stories like this.